family. I know how heavy it can feel when you're feeling lost, and based off of a lot of what I've been seeing on social media lately and even observing my personal conversations with friends, I feel like this is something that we're all experiencing right now. And so today I just want to take a few minutes to talk about why that is. At the end of this video, I'll also be providing some practical tips to help guide you through this moment, and then we will close with a brief moment of grounding just to bring some additional peace and clarity and help us integrate everything that we unpack today. Sound good? So why is this happening? Gaia, this is the culprit, by the way. Let's start by looking at why this is happening, and I'd like to look at it at an astrological and psychological level. My friend V, who is a Vedic astrologer, an amazing pyramid energy worker, an Ayurveda extraordinaire, she is all the things, she recently looked at my chart and she reminded me that not only are we in between two eclipses at the time of me recording this in March 2025, but both Mercury and Venus are retrograde. By the time you see this video, Saturn will have also shifted signs. That is literally so much transitional energy. And for many of us, these shifts are likely bringing up a lot of deep questions about purpose and stability and direction and where am I going and what is the meaning of life and maybe even some existential things, right? But before I continue, I really do have to shout out V because the Vedic astrology and numerology reading she gave me was seriously one of the most insightful sessions that I have ever had. And she really helps me understand why I've been feeling so untethered, not just on a personal level, but also in the bigger picture of what's unfolding collectively. Just being able to see my journey reflected in my birth chart, in the timing of these planetary shifts, it really made me realize that this season of uncertainty is not random, that it's a necessary part of my growth, and I just really need to hold on. And so I share all this to say that if you are in a space of feeling lost and you want to understand what's happening for you on a deeper level, I can't recommend her enough. I'll leave her website in the description in case you want to book a session and get some real insight from a real Vedic astrologer, because as much as I love astrology, I'm not an astrologer. So I'll leave that down below, like I said. Anyway, so back to Saturn shifting signs. Saturn in particular deals with structure and discipline and long-term lessons. And when it moves, it really moves through us. And it reshapes the areas of our lives where we've been avoiding responsibility or where we're being called into new versions of ourselves. Okay, so real quick, I just want to say something because I woke up. It is literally 7:44 in the morning, the day of the eclipse, and I'm just like, oh snap, I probably should have said this. But I just really wanted to say that if you're feeling lost and you find that all these planetary shifts are just hitting you super hard, give yourself time. We are still in the energy of this eclipse. As I said, it's happening today. I'm recording this little tidbit on March 29th, and with Venus retrograde until April 12th and Mercury also still retrograde until April 7th, things are going to feel unsettled for a little while. And so I just want to remind you that it doesn't mean that you're off track. It just means that you're in process. Shani Nicholas, shout out to Shani. If you know, you know. She was recently talking about how this eclipse is kind of like a big culmination moment. And so essentially it's wrapping up a cycle that's been playing out since April 2023, especially around like themes of self-advocacy and autonomy and just like learning how to honor your own fire, even if it will ruffle some feathers, so to speak. And this whole Aries Libra eclipse series has been about finding that balance between your personal desires and your relationships. And it's in this moment now that we're finally getting a moment of clarity, or we're at least getting a moment to reflect on all the ways that we've grown within this time period. But as we who are astrologically in tune know, Aries energy can be a lot and it can make us feel like we need to push forward and make things happen and fight for what we want. And it can be really fiery, for lack of better words, even when we're exhausted. And then with the North Node involved, that hunger for movement might feel nonstop. And then you add in the retrogrades to that whole mix, and it's really easy to spiral into overthinking and over-explaining and just trying to force things to fit into place. So if you're feeling that pressure, take a breath and just know that you don't have to chase every answer right now. You don't have to force clarity. And sometimes the most powerful move that you can make is stepping back. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is choosing to rest, choosing to reflect, choosing to allow things to settle before you make your next move. And that's why grounding practices are so important right now, whether it's getting outside or resting or moving your body or unplugging from the noise. Some of these things Shani even recommended for this moment. And that's also what I'll be walking you through in just a moment. And so again, if things feel chaotic, I just want you to remember that you have support and you have come so far. And I really just want to invite you to give yourself grace to pause and actually allow yourself to feel that. Okay? All right, back to the video. Beyond the astrology, there's also a psychological and collective element to this, right? Many of us are in major life transitions right now, and these aren't just surface level changes. These are deep identity shifts. Maybe you left a job that defined you and now you don't know who you are without it. Maybe you're ending or outgrowing a relationship or multiple relationships. I know that's where I'm at in this point of my life. And the version of you that existed before within that dynamic is dissolving. Maybe you're moving, maybe you're questioning beliefs that you once held. There's so many things that are happening right now, and these moments can feel so disorienting because they really challenge our sense of self. And I think in a world that constantly, or that teaches us to constantly be achieving or producing or knowing what's next, having a firm grip on our life and our direction and our path, this in-between space can feel super uncomfortable and even unbearable for some. On top of all that, we're also moving through a time of massive collective uncertainty with so many executive orders being signed and so many rights and privileges being threatened right now. It is so easy to wonder where the world is headed, what that means for us collectively, and by extension, what that means for us personally. How will our livelihoods be affected? Our health, our relationships, our bodily autonomy, the environment. It's a lot. And when the world feels as unstable as it feels right now, it's only natural for that uncertainty to also seep into our personal lives. It makes us question everything. It makes us question our purpose and our path and even our sense of security. So if you've been feeling extra lost lately and extra untethered, I want you to know that it's not just you. There are forces, both seen and unseen, that are shifting around us. And it makes sense if your nervous system feels dysregulated by it all. But I promise you, my love, that feeling lost is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you are in process, that something within you is shifting, even if you don't have the words for it yet. So what do we do with this feeling? Here's what's been helping me. One is releasing the timeline. We put so much pressure on ourselves to have everything figured out immediately. What if feeling lost is a part of the transformation? This is what I was really sitting with in my reading with V yesterday. We were looking at my chart and I was able to understand that the reason why I've been put in this place is because I need to be in this moment of solitude. I need to be in this moment of questioning. I need to be in this moment of allowing things to fall away so I can make space for new things. It's learning about being able to trust yourself in the unknown. Instead of trying to rush clarity, how can you give yourself permission to be exactly where you are? In this moment for me personally, I've been sitting in a lot of existential weight. V was telling me how she had been watching my videos and seeing all the writing that I've been doing for different publications and how happy I look. And I had to tell her, can I be honest with you? Yes, I look really happy when I'm doing these things because these are the things that nourish me. These are the things that I'm really passionate about, but I've been having a really hard time. So if you watched my turning 35 vibe check video, then I touched upon what's been going on in my life. but I didn't really get into the details of what's happened since the new year. I have lost my car insurance. I have lost my kitty's pet insurance. I have lost my driving privileges as a result of losing the auto insurance. My phone was off for over a month. Some days I'm barely scraping by. And as a freelancer and a wellness entrepreneur, things can be really unpredictable. Right now, I'm in a season where I can go weeks without a paycheck. It's been hard, especially since I'm also working to catch up on debt. But even with all of that, my guides keep pushing me to create, to make videos, to write, because this is what I love and it always has been. And somehow, despite everything, I know that this is a part of my journey. And I was able to see that in my chart when V gave me my reading. While I don't have all the answers for myself in this moment, what I do know is that creating content that supports others helps me feel a little less lost. And so that's what I'm leaning into in this moment, not trying to predict where things are going and how long things will last, but trusting that as long as I stay on my path, that I'm going to get to where I am divinely meant to be. The second thing that has been really supportive is just paying attention to the nudges, paying attention to my intuition. Even when I feel completely untethered, I keep getting pulled to make these videos. For you, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's an idea that won't leave you alone, or a small curiosity that has suddenly popped up in your mind, or a whisper in your spirit. And I want to say, follow that, even if it doesn't make sense yet, because those small nudges are often leading us somewhere. Third thing, coming back to your body. When we feel lost, I think we tend to spiral in our minds and we overthink every possible scenario. But sometimes the answers aren't in our heads. Sometimes they're in our breath. Sometimes they're in our heartbeat, the way your body feels when you move, or the way your body feels when you rest. So I invite you to try grounding yourself with something like deep breathing or meditation or movement, not to necessarily fix anything, but just to bring you back to the present moment. And I actually just shared a new guided reset that was designed for moments of feeling lost. And I think it could be really supportive with this. And so if that sounds like something you need, just click the banner above and I'll also leave the link in the description. The next thing you might find helpful is shifting the question. Instead of asking, what am I supposed to do with my life? You might try asking something like, what feels supportive to me today? Instead of, when will I figure it all out? You can try something like, what is one small thing that I can do for myself in this moment? See what I did there? This brings your focus back to the present moment and makes things feel less overwhelming. And while we're on this topic of grounding into the present moment, I think it's also important to find ways to anchor yourself in moments of uncertainty. The world feels really unstable right now, and while we can't control everything, what we can control is the way that we find small ways to create steadiness in our own lives. Maybe that means limiting how much news you consume, or deepening your spiritual practices, or simply making space to rest and recharge. Because when the external world feels chaotic, your inner world really needs extra care. So give yourself permission to prioritize that. I have a guided reset for that too if you need it, so I'll leave it in the description as well. And finally, don't go through this alone. Sometimes we really just need someone to hold space for us and to help make sense of the fog. So if you're in this weird in-between space right now and you want to talk through it, I am available for one-on-one calls. You can go to my website and schedule a free 20-minute alignment call, and we can talk through ways that maybe I can support you. There's a link to schedule in the description. This space that you're in, as uncomfortable as it feels, is very much a part of your becoming. You don't have to rush clarity. You don't have to force answers. You don't even have to have it all figured out today. Just take it one breath, one moment, one small step at a time, and just know that you're exactly where you need to be. With that, let's just really let that land and integrate with a quick moment of breath. Slowly soften your gaze or close your eyes. Beginning to connect with your breath. Just really noticing how it feels, entering and exiting your lungs, traveling through your nose or your throat. Breathing in clarity. And breathing out the need to have it all figured out. One more deep breath in, allowing yourself to be exactly where you are. And another exhale, knowing that this is all a part of your becoming. And when you're ready, you can bring your awareness back to this moment and just notice how you feel, even if it's just a little more grounded. And if this resonated, let's talk in the comments. Are you in this weird in-between space too? And if so, what's coming up for you? Your story might help someone else feel less alone. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.